Hey folks, and welcome to the Confident Coder workshop we're doing today. We are focused on, will AI replace all the tech workers? Are our tech jobs in danger because AI is out there? So I'm sharing a link in the chat to the workbook. And I just want to confirm that you guys got this, all right? Can you guys confirm? If you're watching the replay, it should be linked in the comments or description below. All right, so I've shared a link for you guys. I cannot wait. I am so excited to walk you through this today. So we had some really big news this week with the Amazon Cloud CEO. He spoke about how developers are going to be replaced by AI in 2 years. Is this really true? Is he blowing smoke? What is going on there? Awesome, Dennis. Thank you for confirming that you see the workbook. Awesome, because I want to make sure that you guys have everything that you need to be successful because you're here because you're interested in having a new tech career. And so first, we're going to talk about, will tech workers be replaced by AI? And then as a bonus training, if you'd like to stay with me, I'll also walk into how do you get an amazing tech career in 2024 and 2025, even with all these, different technological changes happening and the way the world is. So good, folks. So please let me know, in the chat, in the comments, where you are and what you're seeing. All right, just a moment briefly about me so you know why am I coming to talk to you today. So I'm a retired professor. My name's Dr. Emily, and I founded the Tech Joy Career Academy to help people just like you get started in their tech careers. And so I'm bringing this information to you from the context of studying software development and how do you launch yourself into a tech career. I've been studying this for over a decade, and I've been helping students become six-figure software developers for a very long time. So don't worry, that's in the PDF. So we're not going to dive into it right now. Okay. So the first question is, will tech workers be replaced by AI? Right? So an intro recording was leaked from Amazon earlier this week. So here's the New York Post article about it, where Amazon Cloud CEO claimed that AI would replace software developers in the next 2 years. So are tech careers dead? Is software engineering a dead career path, or is it a lucrative way to earn six figures and more for the next 20 years? So now that is the question. So this workshop today is interactive. It's not where I'm just talking at you, which is why I've shared the link to the workbook so you guys can follow along with me. Okay, so AI allows developers to have their own personal coding assistant. That's awesome. So the question becomes, well, if AI is just going to write it for me, if I can just pop this into ChatGPT, why do I need to learn how to code, right? Are developers at an end? But here's the thing. A human is still involved in the process, right? And when someone is just beginning, it's true. AI is best at generating the code when you're just getting started learning, when you're just starting out. And so you can pop some things into ChatGPT and it spits out pretty good code. But the challenge becomes when you think of it for a second, these huge software systems, tens of thousands, 20,000 lines of code, right? Oh, and I want to fix one piece of it. Well, ChatGPT isn't necessarily going to be able to do that. A human has to go in and actually make the fix. So can ChatGPT generate code? Yes, absolutely. But it relies on a programmer, a software developer, a human to put it into the system because the system is so big, right? And so this idea that AI is going to replace all the developers is totally false. But what it will do is it's going to change how the developers work, just like how Google made developers faster when it came out back in the early 2000s. ChatGPT is going to revolutionize the type of work that developers are going to do. Okay, so AI allows developers to have their own personal coding assistant. So what is the role? What is the true role of the human here, right? What is the role of the human here? So let's dive into that just a little bit. I'm clearing my screen out for you guys. Okay, cool. So let's dive into this. So what does a human need to do? So just out of curiosity, has anyone here used ChatGPT? Can you let me know with the Zoom reaction? Can you pop it in the chat? Let me know, what do you need to do to use ChatGPT? right? What do you need to do to use ChatGPT? Awesome. Dennis has used ChatGPT. That's wonderful, right? So when we use ChatGPT, we still have to tell it what to do, right? We still have to actually tell it what to do. So let's see if we can do that here. Trying to put my Zoom, get my Zoom background in here. Okay, cool. All right, let's add this stuff in. Okay, so we still have to tell it what to do. Can you guys see that okay? I'll try and make it a little bigger. There you go. So a human still needs to prompt the AI to do something, right? The human has to prompt AI to do something. Okay, cool. So that doesn't necessarily require knowing how to code though, right? So what do developers actually need to do? But here's the thing. Here's the thing. We have to know when the AI is right, right? So when a software developer is working, they're taking a small piece of code. AI could write that small piece of code. But the hard part is that code going to work? And is that code going to work in my live system with live users? Let's say I'm working for Chase Manhattan Bank. Is that going to work? If I put it in place, is that going to impact the hundreds of thousands of users that use Chase every day? So there's more to the decision-making process than what AI is equipped to handle right now. So AI can create the code, but then a human still needs to know how to do it. The human still needs to know, is it right? Is it correct, right? So the human has to know that it worked. We have to know that it works. Yes, exactly, Dennis. And so Dennis is mentioning that it has to work with all the code, all the other code that wasn't written with ChatGPT, right? Like that's outside of it. Now, some companies have included their code, their company's code in ChatGPT. What ended up happening, there's been a backlash. What ended up happening was that ChatGPT started sharing private code with users who weren't authorized to access it. So it became a security risk. So it's a little bit more complicated than just, okay, feed all the code in there and then ChatGPT will be able to edit it on the fly. Someone still has to be the decider to say, yes, this is good enough. This is moving forward. We're going to release this to hundreds of thousands of live users. So the nature of the developer's job is speeding up. It's evolving, but the human is still required. And to know that it worked, you often need to know how to do it yourself to know if it's going to work. So for instance, I don't know if you guys know this, but in New York City, there was a crazy story about lawyers who had used ChatGPT to write up some of their briefings. And ChatGPT was citing court cases that don't exist. Court cases that don't exist. Crazy, right? Crazy. And so that was an issue. That was a big issue because, those lawyers are going to get fired most likely, right? Because these cases don't exist. They're invalid. So the lawyers had to at least, even if you're going to use ChatGPT, you have to check all of its work, right? You have to do all the due diligence. And the same is true for coders. We have to know that it'll work. We have to test it. We have to confirm because there are still some critical skills that are here that have to happen. And oftentimes it's really difficult to know if ChatGPT worked unless you know enough how to do it yourself. So it's not really helping, right? It's not really helping the problem. You still have to know how to code to know if ChatGPT is right. And to be honest, the hardest part of learning to code and software development is actually figuring out what it is you're creating, right? That's really the hardest part, is figuring out what you're creating. And so when When we're learning, it seems as if, oh, ChatGPT can just do this all. But at the end of the day, it's about, right? It's about knowing if ChatGPT did it correctly. So setting the expectation and then understanding if it was met. So really, AI allows developers to grow and evolve basically into managers, right? AI allows developers to evolve into managers. So another example would be a haircut, right? So you guys have gone to get a haircut before, right? Has anyone else gone to get a haircut? Like if you, yeah, just you can pop it in the chat, give me a thumbs up, right? You've gone for a haircut, right? So you tell that so the hairstylist comes in, they sit you down, and you tell the hairstylist what it is that you'd like, right? Awesome, Dennis, I love that, right? So you tell them the haircut you'd like to have, and then they cut it. And they ask you at the end, how does it look? Do you like it? Did this meet your expectation? And you tell them. So here's the critical thing with AI. You have to be able to tell ChatGPT if it's right or not. So you have to know enough technology to be able to know that, yes, this is done. Yes, this code is worth moving along. It's worth putting in. It's worth copying and pasting into production, investing that time to move it forward. All right. So with that, right, okay, so what does that mean for us, right? What does that mean for the critical skills for developers in the age of AI, right? Exactly, Dennis. So Dennis is mentioning, how do I describe what I want to the hairstylist, right? That becomes the challenge of the developer, is communicating what it wants, communicating what is required, assessing if the AI actually did the job, and then going back and forth if it didn't, right? So basically, a developer now becomes a technical manager where the AI is creating the code. The developer could have created the code if they wanted to, but they don't need to. So it helps them speed up their time, but it doesn't replace them. The jobs are still there. Just the nature of them is changing. So now, what does this mean for us who want to have tech careers in this, right? In this season, in 2024, 2025? How can we hope to gain the skills required so that we can take advantage of ChatGPT and use it to help propel our careers forward rather than, not, having it replace us, right? So there's still some key skills that we need to have. And so the nature of the skills is changing. The nature of the skills is changing. So let me start putting some of these in for you guys so you guys can see this. So some of the critical skills for developers in the age of AI, right? So what do we need to do to be able to tell ChatGPT what to do and know that it worked? What are the skills that we need to have? We need to be able to read, right? We need to be able to read and recognize, right? So this is knowing how to code, right? We have to be able to read and recognize that what ChatGPT gave us is accurate. And then in addition, there is a coding piece that really needs to happen. And that's, we need to be able to debug things when they don't work, because maybe ChatGPT didn't get everything perfectly right when it generated our code. All right, so we have to debug and we have to be able to integrate and know if our integrations were correct or not, right? So there's still a lot of steps left here that we have to know how to code for. And then finally, the last piece is we need our solutions to be scalable. And this is one of the ways that the human really needs to be involved, is it needs to be scalable. So what does that involve? We're going to make the code dry, right? And we're going to anticipate future change. Here, let me make this clear for you guys. We're going to anticipate future change. What does this mean? So in coding, we need our solutions to be scalable so that they grow with us, right? We need to make the code dry, which stands for don't repeat yourself. All right, I'll see if I can put that over here. So don't repeat yourself, right? So it's going to be dry. Okay. So we don't want to repeat ourselves. We want to make, so like, for instance, this is another way that, ChatGPT can sometimes recognize these similarities, like if it ran over the whole code base. But basically, you want to avoid copying and pasting all the time, because if you copy and paste code, then if there's a bug in it, you have to go back and fix it all later, which is a real freaking pain if you've copied and pasted it 10 times, right? It's going to slow you down. So we want to make sure that we're not repeating ourselves. This is one of the principles that we teach inside my school. And so, okay, we don't want to repeat ourselves. So when we add code in from ChatGPT, we also need to be aware of the whole system. Is this duplicating code that's already written elsewhere? Is this something that needs to be separate, that needs to be different? Are there multiple possible solutions, and ChatGPT has picked one, but that's not going to serve us long term? When we start to change the system, oh no, wait, we need to optimize for this other change that's going to happen. It's kind of like, let's say you're adding onto a house. Let's say you're adding onto a house, and you know that, or maybe you're renovating a bathroom and you know you're going to add on later. You might make changes to the plumbing infrastructure to account for that new addition. You might do a little extra, pop off while you have the wall open, right? You're going to pop something out so it's easier for the addition to hook in later, right? The same is true of coding, that we can anticipate where these changes are going to go and what's going to happen. But guess what? AI can't do that. AI only has the information that we've given it. It only has the information that's been on the internet. It can't tell us what's coming. It can't tell us what's happening in the future, but a human can usually predict and project. So the human is still absolutely necessary. The AI is just a partner, a support, right? Because to know if AI has given you what you're looking for, you have to be able to know how to do it yourself anyways, right? So it's a huge, huge factor in code quality and testing. Because what most people just starting out with coding don't realize is that reading the code is actually a very important skill. Most software developers are only writing code a little bit at a time. And now with ChatGPT able to spit out code for them, it's a lot less writing and a lot more figuring out how to tell ChatGPT what you want. For instance, if it gives you a version of a solution, you're like, no, wait a minute, I wanted it done this way. You can tell ChatGPT, but you have to have the words, you have to have the vocabulary, and you also have to have the technical expertise to know that it did it correctly. So ChatGPT is absolutely essential in this process. It's absolutely essential. Okay, awesome. Any questions, folks? Any questions on that? So I guess that would be my question for you is, do you think that tech workers are still required even when AI is out there? So the question is, will tech workers be replaced by AI? What do you guys think? I want to hear it. Thumbs up, thumbs down, pop in the chat. Let me know. Will tech workers be replaced by AI? What do you guys think? What do you guys think here? Will tech workers be replaced by AI? What do you guys think? Anyone able to hop on the chat? What do you guys think? I'd love to hear it. I'd love to hear it. I'll pop it in the comments here. So will tech workers be replaced by AI? What do we think? Will tech workers be replaced by AI? And if you do have any questions, now is a great time to ask them. I have additional training for you guys as well. I'll ask you if you'd like to do that. So Fahad, great. Fahad doesn't think that AI will replace the developers until 2035. Nice. Awesome, Anne. So good. So good. Anne doesn't think they'll be replaced either. Good to hear. But if you do have questions about AI and the future of tech careers and coding, pop me a comment. Let me know. Happy to circle back and answer. All right. So I do have an additional training for you guys, which is, given that we still need tech workers, even in a world filled with AI. My question, if you guys are interested, is how do we prepare for those jobs, right? Because the skills are changing, the skills are evolving. So what does that look like? Dennis has commented, tech workers with domain knowledge will be valuable because they can understand what the users in their domain really want when they don't know how to ask. That is such an excellent insight, Dennis, right? It's so important for those of us with domain knowledge to help work and collaborate with AI and developers and tech to bring that knowledge in place so we can make sure that we create systems that actually serve humans, right? At the end of the day, the purpose of AI is to make human lives easier. And so we desperately need that domain knowledge. Oh, such a good insight, Dennis. Such a good insight. So are you guys interested in learning how to land an AI-proof tech job in 2024 or 2025? Is that cool with you guys? Should we focus on what those, now that we know that AI is not stealing all the jobs, what skills we actually need to land them? Are you guys cool with that? Let me know in the chat. Give me a thumbs up. I'd love to hear it. Love to hear it. Awesome sauce. Let me know, folks. I want to make sure that you're with me. Awesome. Dennis has another follow-up question. Do you think that tech jobs will end up building and fixing AI? That's another possibility. To be honest, I think there'll be more as a partnership of using AI as a resource. Basically, AI is like the next level Google, right? It's the next level Google interface. Is it a huge leap forward? Sure. But at the end of the day, someone has to tell the AI what to create and then determine if it created correctly. Did it build the right thing? And that is non-trivial. And many people we're finding, are not using it correctly. And they're not following up to determine that AI did it right. They're not reading carefully. So really the true skill moving forward in AI is learning how to read and assess what ChatGPT gives you and not just saying, oh, that sounds good and moving on, right? So there's still work there. It's much less work, but there's still work there. Super awesome, folks. Super awesome. But yes, awesome. So Dennis, much of the AI development is getting it past the trial and error. Yes, exactly. And some tech jobs will be working on AI. But I don't see that's where most of the tech jobs will be working because every company has software and they have to have that software customized for their business needs, whether it's business software that another company is creating for them and they're just customizing it. Like, for instance, there's business analyst solutions like Zapier, even Excel spreadsheets, right? Like these are end user software programs that still require technical knowledge to be able to communicate and effectively with them. But then there's also, right? There's also companies that are hosting their own SaaS software and their own products, and those need to be customized for them. And so for now, at least the next 20 years or so, right? There's still a lot of tech jobs. They're just evolving. So good. Exactly. Extending the AI to meet their specific needs without losing the proprietary advantage. Absolutely. Absolutely. Such good questions. Perfect. So did you guys want to dive into how to develop those skills that will keep your career AI proof? Let me know. Happy to dive into it. But if you don't want it, I'm happy to answer whatever questions that you have. Awesome sauce. Awesome. All right, cool. Excellent. So let's dive into that. And what we're going to do today is I'm going to tell you what those skills are. We're going to walk through those so you can see like what ones are most important for you to learn. And then at the end of today, I'm going to circle back and ask you to kind of map out your future tech career that you've been thinking about to see how you can achieve that and in what time frame. All right. So that's really cool. Sweet. So how to land an AI-proof tech job in 2024-25, right? So now I've got a picture up here, if you guys can see it. There's a lot of stuff in this picture. This is all of the skills that a tech job posting could ask you for and that you could be asked to learn on the job. Yeah, these are all the tech skills. Oh, Do you guys think that might take a long time to learn? Yeah, a lot. Might they be obsolete before they're finished? Yes, they might be obsolete before they're finished, which would be a total bummer, right? Okay, so there's AI that can do a bunch of stuff for us. And meanwhile, there's these completely unrealistic expectations potentially for the job. So we as humans have to make smart decisions. And so here's the cool thing. You don't have to learn everything, which is good because if you tried to learn everything on this picture, you would be doomed to fail, or it might take you 10 years. It would take you forever, right? And it'd be obsolete by the time you're finished. So fortunately, we don't have to learn it all. That's great news. Okay. Great news. Okay. But then what do we need to learn? Knowing that at any moment on our job, we could be asked to learn something new, right? Okay. So what do we need to learn? Let's talk through this a little bit. Let's talk through this. Okay. So knowing that AI is there to help us, as is Google, right? What do we need to focus on? Well, the first step is we need to master the fundamental skills, right? First step is we need to master the fundamental skills, right? Whatever those are, right? For coding. I call them the 7 basics, but we need to master the fundamental skills of programming. All right, master the fundamental skills of programming. That is step number 1. Because if you don't have the basic alphabet down, right, you would never read a book if you don't even know the alphabet. You're not going to be able to walk into a tech job and a piece of software and work with it if you don't have those fundamentals. You must have the fundamentals. Okay, so that's a non-negotiable. We got to have that right there. But then once you have those fundamentals down, here's the cool thing. What do we do in this landscape, knowing that at any moment we could be asked to learn one of these new technologies or a new one could be invented, right? Because technology is always changing and ever expanding. Okay. So what do we need to be AI proof, to have AI proof skills? We need to have a process to learn and solve any tech problem. Think about that for a second. Imagine if you just had this magical recipe that you could use to solve anything. And you could just apply it every single time. Sometimes might take longer than others, depending on how big the problem is and how much experience you have with it. But that if you apply this process, you will get to the end. You will get to a solution, no matter what, every single time. How would that feel? What would it feel like to know that you can solve any problem? Wouldn't that be cool? To just know walking into any technical challenge that you will be able to solve it, no matter what it is. Pretty cool. Fahad is asking, how much time will it take to master these skills? Awesome question. And we're actually going to dive into that exact question later on, Fahad. So no worries there. I'm going to share with you exactly how long it takes. The short answer is 6 to 12 months, but it depends on a lot of factors. And so I'm going to walk you through those factors so you can see for yourself exactly how long this can take. Okay. Awesome sauce. So we have to have a process to learn and solve any tech problem. Notice the learning piece in there, right? Because all of a sudden we might be handed a new technology and asked to learn it. So we have to know how to learn and we have to have a process for problem solving. And then finally, the last piece that goes into a tech job is applying these skills in real world situations. That's the final piece, applying these skills in real world situations. So this is how we fast track you a little bit. Fahad had asked, he's like, well, wait a minute, how long is this going to take? Right. So there's degree programs out there that take 4 years to learn this information, and they may not even get it all right. And there's boot camps out there that might take 6 months to a year, even 18 months, working anywhere from 20 to 90 hours a week. What? It's all over the map. So in this 3-step process, we are being very targeted and specific about what it is you need to learn to become AI proof, get your first paycheck, and keep learning and keep growing your career from there. Because software developer jobs, typically tech jobs, can pay anywhere from 40K to 150K. Right. So I'm training students with the skills to land those 60 to 150K jobs. We're not usually focusing on those lower end levels. And so software developers usually have access to jobs that are in the 70 to 150K range. And there's another type of job, which I'll walk you through, called a low code job that only makes between 60 to 80K and kind of caps out at 100K. But full stack software developers, these engineering roles, they start their salaries at 100K and can go up to 200 to 300K, even 500K and more. Crazy town. So it really depends. Like, you get to decide, how much do you like this stuff? How deep do you want to go? How long do you want to take to learn? And how much do you want to make now and in the future? Right? So all of these decisions go into what makes your dream coding career, like what is right for you. So we're going to walk through those decisions in a little bit, in just a few minutes. All right. Absolutely. And I'll get to that question a little bit, Pat. So in terms of the real world situations, the key for a full, like an engineer, someone who's going to be building software, a software developer, a web developer, a data scientist, they are going to be solving problems for real business value for actual companies. And for software developers, they have to have experience in production. What does that look like? You have to have experience actually taking a piece of code that you wrote and getting it live on the internet while you're working on a team with other people and while there's actual live users in the system. Right? That's the trick. Software is always on. Amazon.com is always up and running. There are always people buying, and yet they evolve the software, right? The website changes over time. And so these production level skills, this is why entry level coders have so much trouble getting jobs, because most companies can't afford to train and don't want to take the time to train a new coder how to work in production. And most training programs don't have the ability to give them that real world production experience, right? So this is key. Having that production experience is essential to shortening the time it takes to prepare you and, right, giving you those skills. So it all comes together because it also gives you really great confidence, which is going to be key when you go on the interview. You won't land a job interview or land a job if you don't have confidence in your ability to do it. I've seen that played out time and time again. So we don't have to learn everything, but we need to learn the right things. The fundamentals, which don't take that long to learn, a couple months. Having a process to learn and solve any tech problem, right? That can take a few moments to learn, but months to apply and really make sure that you've got it and you have confidence in it. And so we do that by applying these things in real world situations. Okay. So let me go into, there's actually 4 key things you need to get a tech job in 2024-25. Fahad, I will absolutely let you know how to get an internship because it's a key component of our training program. So I'll talk more about that as well, because not all internships are helpful, right? I had many internships as a college student where I ate lunch with the other interns, and that was just about it. So you really want a training internship if you're going to have one. So if these are the skills that we need to have to get an AI-proof tech job and have this amazing tech career, what are the keys to getting those jobs? So let's dive into that for just a second. All right, so let's dive into that for just a moment. Okay. All right, let's pop this in. So the key, there's 4 things you need to get a tech job in 2024 and 2025. So we just spent time talking about the right skills. We have to have those. And then in addition, we have to have confidence. And I've just hit on that a little bit. So confidence is key because imagine showing up for an interview and you come across, hey, hi, I'm Dr. Emily. How are you today? Right? I'm confident. I am standing in that space. I am standing in that interview. You don't even know if I can do the work, but you can see I have confidence, right? I'm going to meet you where you are, where I'm going to be where I need to be. Versus what about someone who comes in, hi, they're trying not to have anybody look at them, right? You're not going to hire that person. And so normally in most social situations, humans can be confident, at least with their names. But then the interviewer, it's a high stakes environment, a job interview, they start asking questions. And then that's when the confidence comes in. We need to be able to clearly and confidently articulate what we can do for that company. What value do we bring to them? What's going to happen if we don't have the skills and the confidence? All right. So if we don't have those skills, we're not going to pass the tech interview. Okay. We're not going to pass the tech interview. When you apply for tech jobs, especially coder jobs like software engineers, there's actually 2 interviews, joy of joys. There's the tech interview where they assess your skills. And then there's the face-to-face or behavioral interview. I'll call it face-to-face. So if you don't have confidence, when you go into that room, in a Zoom room or physical room in reality, you're not going to get that offer. You're not going to impress the hiring manager. They're going to remember the people that were confident, that know that they are ready to take on this challenge, whatever it looks like. And that is why having that process to learn and solve any tech problem is so key. It is so key. So we need that confidence. So we need the right skills. We need the confidence. And then we also need that experience. So here's the cool thing, right? Is that the things we need to learn, like applying these skills in real world situations, feed right into the keys to getting a tech job. Experience. How do I know this, right? So I used to think all you needed for a tech job was a portfolio of your work. Has anyone else ever heard that? All you need for a tech job is a portfolio of your work. Not sure. Did anyone else hear that before? That's what I heard. This was back in the, 2010s era. It's like, okay, you just need a portfolio, right? Okay. And then I started teaching as a professor. I taught hundreds of students how to become 6-figure software developers, and they got those jobs. And they came back and they told me, I asked them, I said, hey, Jen, how'd you get that job offer? That's a really great gig. Government work is nice, right? Nice benefits. She's like, oh, Dr. Emily, it was the internship. It was the experience in production, working on a client project. That's what landed me the job. And I looked, I listened, and I asked every student that I had that was getting these 6-figure jobs left and right. They all said the same thing. It was the experience. No one else, none of the other college grads had actual experience. So they were the top of the list. In fact, today, we know you don't even need a college degree. You can still get a job as long as you have that experience. Some jobs prefer you to have any college degree, but a technical degree is no longer required. And so that experience has now even surpassed formal training because companies are acknowledging that formal training programs may not be able to keep pace with how quickly technology is changing, how quickly the skills they are looking for are changing. This is why we need a different solution for training than what's happened before. And this experience becomes the hallmark because having a process to learn and solve any tech problem means you can gain experience in whatever area is relevant for your dream job. And then when you go to apply, you have the experience they're looking for on your resume. So in essence, what I'm proposing here is to think about your dream tech job and literally reverse engineer what your resume should look like to get that dream job, and then match your learning to that so that your resume and your learning and your preparation, they all match and they're all designed to get you that job that you've been looking for. All right. So we're flipping it on its head a little bit. Normally you would go to school and the school would say, oh, you want to do data science, you need to learn X, Y, and Z, right? So the fundamentals, yes, we want to have the fundamentals down. But really the true value is, can you do it in real life, right? Can you actually do the work? And that's where applying these skills in real world situation both enhances your learning and gives you the experience that employers are looking for. How did I learn that experience was so important? Well, not only did I have these students coming back and telling me that it was the experience and not the portfolio. And to be honest, I went and I looked at their portfolios and they were awful. When I say portfolio, I mean a GitHub profile. That's what a portfolio is for tech. It's not some fancy website that shows your pages. It's just your GitHub profile. And they had maybe 1 or 2 projects. There was like nothing up there. They really did look horrible. And I was like, oh, it really is the internship that's landing these jobs, not the portfolio. So hence the focus on experience. Now, I started my own coding school. I retired as a professor because I realized that the university structure was limited in how we could deliver the skills, confidence, and experience for you to get that next tech job. And so I noticed as I continued to teach my students that sometimes there was a huge difference where a student would go from no interviews to tons of interviews. And do you know what it was? It was experience. As soon as they put experience on their resume, they were getting interviews. They were getting reach outs from recruiters. They were getting attention from hiring managers. It was no joke. Night and day difference. Night and day. Think about that for a second. I mean, this was happening over and over and over again to the point where I can now debug your job hunt. And if anyone wants me to, I'm happy to do it today. We can debug your job hunt with whether or not you're getting interviews. And it'll be if you have experience on your resume or not. No joke. Now, Dennis is talking about contacts. And you're right. There is one final component to getting a tech career in this post-AI world. And that is connections. Connections are so critical, especially if you're a first timer. I know Fahad had mentioned, being a fresher looking for their first tech job, and connections are how you overcome that hurdle, right? Experience helps give confidence in your abilities, right? So having experience, most small and medium-sized businesses are the most likely to hire entry levels, right? A large number of them. Entry-level coders are a good value for a small to medium-sized company, but they can't afford to train them. So if someone doesn't have experience, they probably can't hire them, because what's going to happen is their salaried developers that they already have are going to spend all their time trying to train the new guy. And that's actually going to cost the team over time. So the economics don't work. So that's why it can be really challenging for first-time programmers and people in tech to get that first tech job, because they don't have that prior experience. This is where connections come in, because connections allow us to grease those wheels and to bypass job requirements that might not be truly relevant. Has anyone ever looked at a job ad and it just looked wacky, like totally irrational? Like there was no person on the planet that existed. For instance, there was a job ad that was looking for 10 years of experience with ChatGPT. How long has ChatGPT been around? A lot less than 10 years, let me tell you. All right. So, okay. Job ads are sometimes unrealistic. So now what? So connections help us bypass that and get us in front of a human that might actually be able to give us that job. So connections are absolutely critical. And here is what I can tell you from the dozens of students that I've helped place in 6-figure developer jobs and get these high-paying, lucrative remote tech careers going, If you don't have connections, you may not have offers. And in fact, I had a student recently who went through this exact projection, right? So she had skills and confidence. She had come to us from another boot camp. And then when she came inside our program, she got an internship experience because we guarantee that for all students. It's part of our learning model. And so as soon as she had that experience, she instantly noticed that she was getting the attention of recruiters and she was getting a lot of interviews. When she had not been getting any interviews before, now she was getting weekly interviews. Win, right? Total win. But until she had a contact, she didn't get an offer, because the value of a contact is a couple different ways. One, it's getting your resume in front of a human, the human hiring manager who has to make a decision and decide who is going to take this role and then set it up in payroll. There's going to be a human involved. And, right, someone has to vouch for them, right? So getting you in front of a hiring manager so you can get the interview, that's step one. But step two is that trust factor, knowing that you're a good bet, because there's no perfect candidate at the end of the day, right? I've done lots of interviews, hired lots of people. There's usually not a perfect candidate. You're usually comparing different candidates that have different strengths and weaknesses, and you're trying to figure out, well, it looks like candidate A can do this half of the job, but they might not be able to do the second half, and I don't know if they can learn it. But when you have a connection and you have someone who can offer a personal recommendation to who you are, your work ethic, who you are as a person, your technical abilities, now all of a sudden you're a safe bet. You're lower risk. I mean, think about it. An interview is like a half an hour. So you're literally meeting someone for a half an hour and then giving them a job that pays tens of thousands of dollars, probably like 70 to 100K a year. And you're going to have to work with them for months and months because it's really hard to fire someone. And most companies, like most people, most teams don't want to fire people. Okay. So how do we increase when you're new and you don't have a full-time job anywhere else first? How do we increase the company's confidence in you? A connection, someone that's providing that referral. So it serves two purposes. One, to help you get the interviews. Two, to help you get the offer. And I have noticed that students with personal connections get offers faster, right? And most of that I can see have some kind of connection to the position that they're getting. Connections aren't always a person. They can be like an affinity for the technology. I've seen that too, but that's less likely, especially for someone just getting started. If you have work experience in another field or another area, that can come into play and also be like a special connection to the job where you've got domain knowledge, right, that most people don't have. So like you'd be a top contender, top candidate for that position. All right, awesome. Any questions on that? Any questions on that? So just to summarize, we talked about how you don't actually have to know everything, which is awesome. And to get a job in tech, you need the right skills, the confidence, the experience, and the connection so that you can check off all those boxes and get that amazing tech career. Super awesome. Super awesome. Okay, sweet. So, all right, quick review, guys. Okay, so true or false? AI is replacing all the tech workers. What do you guys think? I want to hear it. Pop in the chat. What do you guys think? AI is whatting the tech workers. What do you guys think? True or false? True or false? Well, I think we established that earlier, right? Did everybody see that? We established that earlier, that false. AI is not replacing all the tech workers. And yes, Dennis, it's changing how tech workers deliver. I like that. So I would say evolving or changing how they deliver, right? Changing how they deliver. I'm just gonna leave it as evolving to have a little less text to edit. Excellent. Now, the next question is, can anyone get a tech job? Can anyone get a tech job? Okay. So Dennis is proposing no. Let me walk you through this for just a little bit. Okay. So there's actually a lot of tech jobs that are out there. Can anyone get a developer job? I would agree with that, Dennis, that the answer would be no. But tech jobs are really broad. There's a lot of coding positions, and we've had students that decided to go after these. There's a lot of coding positions where you don't need to know that much coding, but you need to know a little, and they pay well, and they're often remote, right? So yeah, and many jobs are tech jobs, right? Jobs that require some kind of coding knowledge, how to automate things, right? If I qualify a tech job as a job that requires you to know how to automate things, right? Because there's a segment of jobs called low code jobs, and they don't require a lot of coding, but they do require some coding. So for instance, if you were going to create an Excel spreadsheet and go deep into formulas, it would really help to have knowledge of how programming works. It makes it so much easier. Like the fact that I know how coding works, I'm a power user of every piece of software I pick up that has automations, because I can use loops, I can use functions, I can use ifs and elses. I know the lay of the land. I know what's possible. And then we've got ChatGPT to help us fill in the gaps, right? So there's a lot of opportunity out there. In terms of software engineers and developers, it's not for everybody, right? It's a labor of love, and if you enjoy it, if you like it, it's worth it. If you've got the passion and the persistence to keep showing up, you can get there. The question is, how long is it going to take you, and are you willing to wait that long for that tech career, right? So let me just walk you through. There's these two different paths. So typically a low code developer, these are entry level jobs that do not require that you're going to be typing code necessarily. You might, but usually it's like customizing a system for a customer, right? Maybe you're specialized creating preferences, doing an AWS or an Oracle Cloud setup, right? Like it could be an IT position that has a little bit of coding requirements in there. Could be a business analyst or a data analyst who has to kind of work with a lot of data and information. Typically, these are 60 to 80K starting salary positions, but we have had students earn up to 150K. You can learn it in as little as 2 weeks. My fastest student took these skills to the bank in 2 weeks or 2 months. Within 3 to 6 months after completing the training, right? And so this would be data or biz analyst, low code, business solution specialist, right? So there is a segment of tech jobs that don't require a lot of coding, just a little bit, that are very lucrative. That's pretty awesome. Now, some of you are here because you want to be a software developer. To be honest, that's where I was. When I came out of high school, I was like, I want to be a coder. I want to be a software developer. I went to get my first computer science degree. Notice I said first, because I didn't learn how to code in my first degree, nor my second degree, nor my third. Eventually, I did learn to code. I taught myself. And so, yes, the computer science degrees helped guide me because they'd give me these assignments that I couldn't do, and I'd teach myself how to do them, right? So at the end of the day, being a software engineer, you really want to be committed to that path. They're typically remote hybrid. The starting salaries are typically in the 70 to 150K range. They can go as low as 40 to 50K, but most of our students aren't willing to apply for those jobs. So we're focused on training for 70 to 150K starting salary jobs. The earnings potentials, though, is over 500K. I know a Google manager that makes 500K. And I've even heard stories of developers getting paid $1 million a year. Crazy, right? You can learn these skills, Fahad, in as little as 6 to 12 months, right? And typically you can get an offer within 3 to 6 months after the training is completed. The national average is about 6 months, but our job hunt curriculum and the way we go after connections is pretty great. And so typically our students are finding jobs faster. The types of jobs that this prepares you for would be full stack web developer, data scientist, AI engineer, DevOps, quality assurance engineer, or project manager. All right. So depending on the type of job you want, you might need either of these. What I would like to be clear about is that the low code developer jobs don't require the experience. That's why the training is faster, right? The experience piece to your learning, if you need practice working in production like these other job titles, it takes at minimum 2 months. So even once you've learned all the fundamental skills, at minimum, it's going to take you 2 months of experience to really absorb all the things you need to learn in that production environment to be ready for the job market. And so that's why there's this difference in terms of preparation that It's going to take you longer to become a software developer than if you just wanted any kind of tech job, right? Maybe as a low code developer. All right. So just out of curiosity, I'd love to know if you guys are leaning towards low code developers, or, what kind of a software engineer, what kind of job titles are you guys leaning towards? Because I can tailor, we're going to be talking in a minute about exactly how long this would take you specifically, and I can tailor that in just a minute. Fahad, how many students have we trained in this program? So we've had over 400 students enroll across all of our training programs to date. So to be honest, I've taught probably at this point, thousands of students the basics of coding at this point. Super awesome. So the question is, can anyone get a tech job? It's true, you can, but it depends on a couple factors, right? It depends on a couple factors. So I'm sorry, Fahad, I'm not sure what you mean by community link. Happy to share links, and there's some links in the workbook as well. So depending on the amount of time you're willing to put in and the types of skills that you choose to develop, it's up to you. So that's one of the coolest things about the program that I created is you don't have to know what you want to do when you walk in. You want to have a career in tech, but maybe you don't know which one. And then you can come in and start learning and start doing and see if it takes off, see if you love it, or see if you're like, you know what? This is really cool, but I can see it's going to take me this many months and this many hours to get to that level. And I think I'm good with a 60 to 80K job. I get plenty of students on both sides, and that's totally cool. That's up to them. They get to choose. And now they have the freedom to do so without being locked in. What most training programs do is have you pay through the nose. Oh, you want to do data science? Here, pay us, 10 grand. You want to do software development? Here, pay us 10 grand. And so we're different because we allow students to come in and explore and find their path and potentially even switch while they're doing it. It can add a little bit of delay, but we're not adding cost, right? Like once you've made, it's about making that investment in yourself, in your future. And then from there, right? Then from there, we're figuring that out. All right, we're figuring out what the right place is. So good. Okay, excellent. Excellent. So let's keep diving in here. All right, sweet. So have you guys heard this? Has anyone heard about this? You need to be good at math to have a tech career. I don't know. I'm just curious. I've been trying to talk about this myth for a long time. Oh, I guess I kind of cheated. I shared with you guys what the solution is. But if you guys, has anyone ever heard this? You have to be some crazy math whiz. Just out of curiosity, have you guys heard that? Yeah, Dennis has heard it. It's all good. Yep, I heard it too growing up. But here's the cool thing. You can have any genius zone. You can totally have any genius zone. And in fact, we're entering a phase in technology where we need those other genius zones because the intuitive geniuses have built the technical world as we know it, and we are so grateful. But for it to serve every one of us, our whole society, we need everyone's point of view. We need all the genius zones to have a seat at the table. So if you are interested in tech and this excites you, and this is a career that sounds fun to you, come join us, be here, right? We need every genius zone. The cool thing is that you get to choose. You can come in, start to learn, and see where it takes you. Do you want to become that full software engineer that's creating new web systems and new mobile apps, the next Airbnb, the next Uber? Are you transforming life as we know it? Or are you customizing tech for a business or for, analyzing data? All are valid. All are really nice, cushy tech jobs, right? That are typically remote or at least hybrid, right? Where they're not physically intensive and you get to do a lot of creative mental work that you're rewarded for and respected for, which is just so lovely. Yeah, exactly. So actually, Dennis, music and math tend to be fields that pick up computing easily and coding very quickly. So I'm a musician myself. I'm a singer. I know many musicians that are excellent coders. And really, you can have any genius zone. You can have any genius zone. In fact, there's a software that's really big. It's called Ruby on Rails. and it's used to run 4 million websites worldwide. And the author of that system, Dave Hovermeyer Hansen, was an English major. He doesn't do math at all. He just approached coding as a writing problem. So really, you can have any genius zone. And the question is, once you get in there and start learning, how much time is it taking you? How long is it going to take you to build these skills? And how far do you want to go? That's literally the only things you have to decide, right? Because you can come in and say, oh, life is kind of getting in the way, or I don't have that much time. I have a lot on my plate. And this is taking a long time to learn. And you can pull back and still get a killer career where you're really happy and you're contributing and you're doing it in tech. So like anyone can get a tech job. It just depends on what you want that tech job to look like, right? Exactly. Like how quickly do you figure out this problem solving piece, right? Just to circle back to it, how quickly do you learn this process to learn and solve any technical problem? If this takes you a little bit and you get frustrated and you're like, I'm good, I don't need to keep going, you can pull back and still get a killer tech job. Like there is like no risk here, right? There's always a win. It's always a win. It's always improvement. As long as that's where you are, right? And I have had students come to me and say, I'm not taking a dime under 100K. Awesome. So you want to be prepared to make sure you're prepping for these software engineering roles. There are lower code jobs and training positions and even some project management positions that you can get access to potentially with less coding experience, and they would make 100K. But you want to just be intentional about it, right? Like there's a lot of options out there and you get to pick like whatever you want. Super awesome. So if it's cool with you guys, would you guys like to hear more about how we actually teach this? Like that we teach these skills inside the Joy of Coding Academy? Is that cool? Are you guys interested in that? Awesome, Dennis. Thank you. Yes. Preaching today, preaching. Awesome sauce, folks. So this is in a nutshell. If you want to take a screenshot, like this is what you need to know to get an AI-proof or recession-proof tech job in 2024, 2025. So how do you do it? How do we do it? All right, there is a very specific formula that we use, and it's called the Confident Coder System, right? So to learn these AI-proof skills, we need to master the fundamental skills of programming, have a process to learn and solve anything, and then apply our new skills in real-world situations, right? And this in turn is going to give us the skills, the confidence, and the experience to launch our new tech career. So our Confident Coder System includes some very specific training components that I have never seen anywhere else. I've never seen these anywhere else, and they're really, really important. So first of all, you need the 7 basics. This is the alphabet of coding. And basically, you would never try to read a book without knowing the alphabet. And yet, I see programmers every day trying to learn to code without having the basics down. And it's like trying to learn to read before you know the alphabet. You're destined for a path of frustration and, to be honest, oftentimes failure. And they're not that hard. To be honest, this was something that took me a long time to learn, but once I unlocked it, that was the beginning of my journey of actually understanding how to code. This is what I had to teach myself, that like no one had made simple for me, was the 7 basics. And I was so frustrated once I realized it because they're not that hard. It really wasn't that hard. And it can be taught, the fundamentals can be taught in just a couple hours. In fact, every month I'm, running a workshop where I'm teaching these to students in an afternoon. And in fact, I've had so many people tell me that just these couple hours transformed their coding education journey, right? So, Pedro, after 2 years of learning on YouTube, he spent 2 weeks studying the 7 basics, and he was able to create his own projects from scratch, right? Like in 2 weeks. After 2 years, he's making progress in 2 weeks. Or I had a student, John, who had spent 6 years studying, getting a software engineering degree, and he learned more in a month doing the first 2 months of our training. He was able to accelerate through it. So it really can be taught faster. Like we really innovated a different way of approaching this. And another student, Shelly, learned more in 2 hours than in years of watching YouTube videos. So what does this tell us? If you've been trying to learn to code before and been frustrated, it's all good. Don't worry, it happens to everybody. It took me 10 years and $244,000 to learn how to code, right? It's all good. But once you have these 7 basics, these are the keys that unlock that ability to problem solve. Okay, so that is absolutely essential. And if you're interested in that, we can offer that to you guys. I don't have that. I'll have to get that link for you. So if you're interested in that, let me know. All right, actually, let me see if I can, here we go. Here, I'm going to pop it in the chat, folks. If anybody wants those 7 basics, I can put those there for you. Okay. All right, excellent. Sweet. If you want to get started with those, but it really is a game changer. Once you've got these down, these are the keys, the alphabet for that problem solving we talked about. There's a couple other key features that we really innovated to help train the next generation of software developer, to train technical innovators, because you have to be able to solve your own problems, right? That's one of the biggest challenges in tech, is it's always changing and adapting. So anyone that follows a training program, many training programs, unfortunately, what happens is the student learns from the teacher, and they learn from the teacher, and they learn from the teacher. And while that is brilliant, at some point, we need to be able to learn on our own without the teacher, because when you get your first job, the teacher won't be there anymore. And so this is what often happens. I hear stories of boot camp graduates getting jobs really quickly and then losing them, getting laid off, having trouble with that second job. It's because they didn't actually learn the skills they needed. They learned how to follow the teacher, but not how to do it for themselves. So there's a couple key things, couple key elements in our training program that allow us to train our students to be self-sufficient, confident coders. And one of those things that we do is we prioritize the principles over the technology. What does this mean? What the heck? The principles over the technology. Okay, so we've already talked about this actually with the 7 basics. So I don't know if you know this, folks, but the 7 basics have been around for 50 years. Crazy, right? 50 years. Can you imagine that there is something in technology worth learning today that has relevance today that's been around for 50 years? What? So if it still has relevance now, after 50 years, do you not think it might still have relevance for the next 20, maybe your career? Absolutely. And this is our key to making sure that you are prepared not just for your first job, but for an entire career, right? Because I don't want to just prepare you to get that first job and fail and get fired and laid off. No, I want you to have a thriving 20-year career transforming and innovating in technology, right? So we prioritize the principles over the technology. There's really, in the job hunt process, there are 2 different stakeholders. The job wants you to have the latest technology skills right now, today. That's what they're paying you for. They want you to hit the ground running, start solving their problems. But you, as someone who wants a career, the latest tech comes and goes. It's not essential. It's going to evolve many times throughout your career. So as someone who's looking to have a career, you need those principles. That's the priority. So here, how do we balance these 2 competing considerations, right? The stakeholders in this job hunt process don't align, they don't agree. So the way we find the balance is we focus on teaching you the principles, and we showcase those principles in the latest technologies of the day, so that you are prepared for the jobs. You're prepared to hit the ground running when you get there, but you are also prepared for a 20-year career. Okay, super important, super important. All right, sweet. Another piece that is absolutely critical in helping you become self-sufficient is we put your process over the solution. Okay, so prioritizing principles over technology, this is the curriculum, right? This is how we come up with the curriculum, right? What it is that we're working on. That's what this is doing right here. But the process of putting your process over the technology, this is how we teach. right? This is how we teach you. We put your process over the technology. What does that mean? This is the same idea. If you've ever heard of this idea of if you teach someone to fish versus handing them a fish, right? So let's say someone wants to eat lunch and I go to the fridge and I hand them their lunch. They have just learned to ask for their lunch. They have not learned how to prepare their lunch for themselves. As a mom of 5, I can tell you, it is a ton of work. Instead, I could teach my children how to make their own lunch. I could teach them how to make a sandwich. I can teach them how to make an egg. And now they are empowered to make themselves a meal whenever they want. And as a mom of 5, I have to tell you, it is delightful when the older ones graduate to being able to prepare their own meals, sometimes even for the other kids, which is pretty awesome, right? They become self-sufficient. They no longer require an adult to make them lunch. This is empowering for them and important in their evolution if they're ever going to be independent adults. The same is true in coding education. If you're only taught to follow the teacher, you will never learn how to solve problems without the teacher. So we have a very specific sequence of learning in our Confident Coder system where you can put the process over the technology, right? Where you can learn how to become the self-sufficient coder by placing that process over the technology. So what this looks like is when you ask questions, inside our training programs, we often won't answer them immediately. We will ask questions to help you further understand the question. And so the learning has to happen in a rapid dialogue so that it doesn't take forever, right? Because when you ask a question, it is so easy for me just to give you the answer. Here, I'll be Google for you. No. I need to ask you another question and another question, and help guide you on the path to the solution, to finding your own solution. So you're getting supported, but you're not getting spoon-fed, if this makes sense. Because this is the key of how do we make you self-sufficient? How do we make you capable of solving any technical challenge, any problem? This is the way. All right. So we have to prioritize your process over the solution. I didn't fill that in. We have to prioritize your process over the solution itself. Awesome sauce. And there's one final key that I think I've been hammering this in the entire time, is that finally we have to learn by doing. That its experience is the fastest and best teacher. Fastest and best teacher. Fastest and best teacher. Learning by doing. And as you've seen throughout, our time together today, I've been focused on, experience and confidence and all of those good things, and really learning by doing, especially in technology. It is the fastest path. It is the fastest path. Awesome. If you guys have any questions on that, don't hesitate to ask. Next up, we're going to dive into your, exactly what your tech career could look like. So give me just 1 second, but I did want to just share some stories of students who had been frustrated trying to learn as well. And, Arthur had come to us from another boot camp where he was working 80-hour weeks for 3 months. And he couldn't get a job and he had no idea what he was doing. He just couldn't figure out which way was up. And so 3 months after joining the Joy of Coding Academy program, he got his first front-end offer. And Doris has the distinction of being the top earner that we've seen. So she had spent years in a tech adjacent field as a non-coder, and then got fed up, joined us to learn those fundamentals of coding, and then got a job. She negotiated an offer for $150K. She got a job, as a Python trainer. So there's many different tech career paths, and the fundamentals prepare you for all of them. And that's how the power of pairing that experience with it allows you to customize your training to the type of job you want, gives you confidence, and helps you negotiate for top dollar like Doris did. Yeah, exactly. So even if you've been frustrated in the past, there's still pathways forward for you. Awesome. So just so you guys know, how do we actually implement this on the ground? What does this look like? So we have guided virtual trainings that are work at your own pace. That's how we implement it inside the Joy of Coding Academy. So work at your own pace. This allows you to integrate your learning with your life. Like, before there was online education, you had to go to a physical college to learn. And that was really hard to do after you graduated college, or, when life is happening, you have a family and you have work and you have commitments. So we don't think you should have to stop living your life just to learn how to become a coder, right? So all of our trainings are virtual and they're work at your own pace. However, I talked about that importance of having that dialogue in developing your process. And so we actually have live Zoom sessions with experienced expert software developer mentors. I mean, these folks are like former Facebook startups, startup called Teachers Pay Teachers. Like, these are amazing software engineers, from coast to coast. And we have these different Q&A sessions 6 days a week. We also have, students that are peer mentors that have been through the program and they remember what it was like to be where you are, right? And so it's really, really amazing. We have so many opportunities, but multiple days a week. In fact, I have a schedule shared down below if you guys are interested. And then finally, what if you have a question and it's not a Q&A time right now, right? Then what? So we actually have a 24/7 community support through our exclusive Discord server with both text and voice channels. So you can still get on and connect with others. And our community is filled with peer mentors who love to help and are invested in your success. And part of the reason that peer mentors join becoming peer mentors is not just because they want to give back, but it's also preparation for their interview and helping giving them practice talking in a technical way. And it's also building their confidence, because you can't teach someone else without building your confidence. It's like impossible. So we build those confidence components right into the system. It's pretty awesome. Awesome sauce. But yeah, if anybody has questions on that, just let me know. Happy to answer. All right. Super awesome. Okay. Drum roll. Who's ready to map out their dream tech career? All right. This is the one I can't fill in. You guys got to do it. So let me make sure you guys have the link on this. Let me make sure that we have the link for the workbook. I think everybody does, but just in case, here's the workbook link. Awesome sauce. Sweet. All right. So just out of curiosity, who's ready for a tech career? Can you drop it in the chat if you're ready for a tech career? Because now is your chance. Let's map it all out. Let's do this, man. So good. I think Fahad was interested. I think Dennis was. I know Anne is. I've talked to her. Patrick might be. All right. Super awesome. All right. Now this part is for you guys. All right. This part is for you. Only you can fill this in. I can't fill this part in, but I'll walk you through it. All right. I'll walk you through it. So the first step is, what does your dream tech career look like? So if you guys could pop in the chat, let me see if I can do a quick poll, because I would just so love to know where you guys are at. Yeah, what kind of developer would you guys like to be? I'm just curious. Can you guys share? What kind of developer would you like to be? Let me know if you guys are able to see that, if you're able to fill it in. Oh, so good. So good. Awesome sauce. Let me know, folks. Let me know what kind of developer you want to be, and we'll walk through. Because it's pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome, not possibilities. Awesome. We got a developer in there. That's awesome. We got a web dev and software engineer. Anyone else know what kind of tech career they'd like to have? Low code, data science, or maybe you don't know yet, which is totally cool. That's totally awesome. No worries. It's all good. Not knowing is good too. Super awesome. Well, I'll leave that up for a little bit. Hopefully it's not figuring over. But this is a part where you actually, like, this is for you, right? So first step is defining, what does your dream tech career look like? And then let's plug in what your target salary is, right? We just talked about all these different career options, 60 to 150K starting. anywhere from like 100 to 1 million long term. Like there's a ton of options. Awesome. 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 Thank you, Dennis. Thank you for sharing. Yep. Super awesome. Yep. So good. Okay, cool. Excellent. All right, sweet. So I'm going to end the poll. Let's see. So we got a couple people that are thinking about it, which is super awesome. Super awesome. All right, cool. So now we get to figure out our target salary. Right? Now we get to figure out our target salary. Yeah, absolutely, Dennis. There's a link actually at the end of the workbook. So I'll get that to you. So what's our target salary going to be? So let's say, I'll just plug in a sample one. Let me plug in a sample. Okay. So I'm going to plug in, let's say our dream is a full stack web developer, full stack web dev. So our target salary could be anywhere from like 75 to 100K. We'll be conservative. We'll say 85K. Awesome sauce. So let me pull up a calculator here. I'm going to pull up calculator. So let's say, what is that per month? 85, 123 divided by 12. That's going to be 7K per month. All right. How many of you would like to have 7K a month as your salary? I mean, there's going to be taxes in there and stuff, so you won't get all of it. But yeah, absolutely. Would that be a game changer for you just to start? And then what if you could earn more later? What if you could start earning that 150K? Right? What's that 150K look like? Okay. Whoa, now we're really starting to cook with gas. Okay, 150K. Now we're looking at like 12.5 per month. Not bad. Not bad, right? Awesome sauce. So what's currently stopping you from getting there? Right? This is what we need to identify to help you move forward. And the final piece, Fahad had asked about this earlier. How long does it take? How many hours per week do you have? Okay. Inside the TechJoy Career Academy, we look for minimally 10 hours a week. You have to have 10 hours minimum. 10 hours minimum. All right. And there's a lot of reasons of what might be stopping you from getting there, right? It could be a clear roadmap. It could be mentors, guidance, time, finances, whatever it is, right? Whatever it is, write it down, whatever you're finding. 10 hours a week minimum. Who thinks they've got 10 hours a week? Just out of curiosity. Who thinks they have 10 hours a week? Just out of curiosity. Who's got 10 hours in their week? Who thinks they've got 10 hours a week to invest in themselves to start earning these kinds of numbers? Is that cool or what? Is that cool or what? Super awesome. So here is where we answer that question about how long it's going to take. Awesome. Anne's got 10 hours a week. I love it. So how long is it going to take? So we actually inside the TechJoy Career Academy, we actually work with you until you get an offer, right? If you're a part of our main academy. So it's pretty awesome. We have a guaranteed internship experience for our academy students, as well as a job offer guarantee. So it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when you get hired. So depending on your experience level and how many hours a week you're willing to invest, I have some ranges for you. This is based on data from our actual students, right? So this is to help you plug in. There's 3 phases of learning, just like there's 3 pieces that you needed, right? So first we have to master the fundamentals. You get to do this at your own pace, at your convenience. And then we really need to lock in your personal problem-solving process of how to learn and solve any tech problems and build confidence through a guaranteed internship experience. Minimally, this usually takes about 2 months to get the lay of the land, but for someone who's very experienced, they can get comfortable and be productive in as little as a month. And then finally, we're building connections and applying for jobs while continuing to get that real world experience as a junior developer right on the internship. So our interns inside the academy, they get promoted to junior developer when they go on the job market typically, right? Like these things happen together. And so it doesn't say intern on their resume anymore. It says junior developer. So they actually have entry level experience on their resume right as part of the training program. It's phenomenal. It's so cool because the students then go in with actual experience, and we serve as a reference because we know every line of code that every student wrote for our projects, and we can help give that referral, that reference for the students and say, oh my goodness, you want to hire Joe. He is amazing. He did this, this, and this for us, had super fast turnaround time, right? So we are able to provide those references and recommendations for our students. So the question becomes, how long is it going to take you, right? Our best estimate, no matter who you are, is 6 to 12 months. We do allow up to 18 because life happens and, we can't predict everything perfectly. We want to make sure you have everything you need to be successful. So most students typically find the average is they're getting jobs in 8 months, but it could be in the range of 6 to 12. Again, my fastest student was 2 weeks in. Fastest student was 2 weeks in. So how can you figure out where you are? Okay. So if you only have 10 hours a week, that's totally cool. You'll want to look in this column. This is the total time to complete, right? So if you want, you can break it down how long it should take you as estimates. These phases of the program are typically about even. So you can take these totals and then divide them by 3 and write in about how long it will take, right? So if you're a total true beginner, I would allow 8 to 12 months. I would plan for 12 and be pleasantly surprised if it happens in 8. Okay, so that's my honest assessment there. And if you have like 40 hours a week, you may even be able to do it faster in the 6 to 8 month time frame. But if you're 10 hours a week and you have never coded before in your life and you want to become a software developer, 12 months for sure. If you got more time, right, if you got more time per week, you can lower the number of months that it takes. If, for instance, you have experience, you already have a tech degree or a boot camp, well, you're probably going to complete the program much faster within 6 to 8 months. And I've seen students get job ready in as low as 3 months, but typically they're working on this training full time. So that's where that comes in. And if you've had a tech job before, usually the students that come to us with prior experience are typically getting job offers, as little as 4 months, 3 or 4 months, regardless of the time that they have. Super awesome. So cool. Awesome sauce. So I think the final question is, what's next, right? Did you guys all fill in the months that you had? Did you all fill in? So let me know in the chat. I would love to know where people stand. Did you guys figure out how long it would take you about? So yeah, I'd love to hear if anyone has figured out what the months are for them, like where they sit, what their estimate is. I'd love if you can just pop a number in the chat of your estimate of where you think it is. I'd love to hear it and just see where people are. I'd love to see it. Love to see it. Okay, awesome. Hopefully everybody's calculating. They're hard at work calculating. Yeah. Awesome sauce. All right, cool. Sweet. All right, excellent. Awesome. So let me know, drop in the chat. I would love to know where you guys are in terms of the months. That would be so great. I would love that. So definitely let me know. And we'll keep scrolling on. I want to move with you. And so the final questions, like this is really the final question for you guys. in terms of your decision-making of moving forward. Is a tech career right for you? And do you believe that the Confident Coder system would be a good fit? Would be a good fit? Those are the questions. Those are the questions. Let me see if I can make this just a little bit bigger so we can get all of it in on one page. There we go. Awesome. So I'm looking at the chat, and so I just want to make sure that we're all together. So if you guys could let me know if you think a tech career is for you, how long you think it'll take. And if you'd like, I can absolutely go into, if you want to, join us inside the Tech Joy Career Academy. We have a couple different options. I'd be happy to talk about them. But if you guys are like, no way, Jose, I'm done. I'm not ready for a tech career. I don't need to go into it. So just let me know. Just let me know. And I want to make sure that everybody's with me, that you're hearing me. We're all together. Super awesome. Awesome sauce. I'm seeing a yes from Anne. So let's see. Let's see if there's any others. You can give me a Zoom reaction too. Maybe everybody's busy calculating, so I can't see your responses until you type them out. There's big decisions, man. Oh, such big decisions. Crazy. It's just crazy the potential. Crazy the potential for these tech careers and how much you can earn in so little time. Like, for instance, just to share Doris's story, she completed 2 months of training in 7 months, right? So life happened for sure. I mean, she had like the loss of a loved one who was very close to her. She lost the job that she had. I had to find a new one that wasn't the job she wanted. It was the same thing she had been doing. And then in 7 months, though, she had a 150K job. Imagine that kind of potential and that kind of transformation in your life. Like, would that kind of salary, 75K, 100K, over 100K, would that be a game changer for you in your life, right? So if that's something that you're interested in, then I would love to invite you to join us as part of the Joy of Coding and the Tech Joy Career Academy. So if you think that a tech career is right for you, and you know that our Confident Coder system is going to get you there, then the final question is, where are you in? Where is your level of commitment? And there is no judgment here. Everybody is exploring their options and finding their own path. And some are like all in ready, like, yes, I am all in, sign me up. I am becoming a Confident Coder. And in fact, typically the students I see like that are like me, where we wanted to learn how to code and we tried these other training programs and we invested potentially tens of thousands of dollars, in my case, hundreds of thousands of dollars to learn it, right? Like, that is commitment, right? If you are all in, then come on down and join us inside the Joy of Coding Academy, where we have it's our flagship engineering job prep for software developers and software engineers, full stack data science. It's the small group, work at your own pace approach that I shared with you, where you get to choose your own training and internship, and you have access to all of our curriculum, up to 18 months of support, and access to top developer mentors. They're just so, so amazing. If you're someone who would like one-on-one support, you like that VIP style treatment, we do have an option for just a little bit more, where you get one-on-one accountability and support, daily DMs with me if you're interested, and private office hour sessions, in small groups with me, as well as one-on-one job hunt support. So it's really an amazing, amazing program. And so we'd love to have you. But if you're not, right, if you're not at that point where you're like, I am all in, if you are more, I'm thinking about a career in coding and I don't know if it's for me. Maybe you tried to learn to code, but you didn't have success. But then again, maybe you didn't have very much support even if you invested in potentially tens of thousands of dollars in another training program. In fact, I was just talking to someone like this a couple days ago where she'd invested in a training program, a boot camp. It was like 13 grand. Then after financing, it was like 18 grand. And she wasn't getting the support that she needed. She wasn't understanding it. She was in over her head and she didn't have the support system. So I said, hey, come on in. I know you've already committed to this other thing, and right, she's outlaid, tens of thousands of dollars already. I was like, why don't you come to our training camp? It's a fraction of the cost of a real boot camp. And, the bigger boot camps to prepare you for the engineering jobs. And it still provides, a ton of support, our best in class support, but it's just for the beginning phases. And in fact, you're eligible to bring questions from your own training there potentially, right? We answer questions for any training. So potentially you can get more out of the investment you've already made. So it includes so if you're interested in that, right? If you're a little bit committed, if you're thinking about a tech career and you're not quite sure yet if it's really for you, like maybe one of those low code jobs is sounding pretty good, or maybe you'll get in and you'll just love it and you'll love coding and you'll want to go all the way. That's cool. We're going to help you make that decision by allowing you to come and start training. So our training camp program is $997 or $197 a month for 6 months. Super low investment, right? It gives you the first 2 months of the training that we talked about today, plus 6 months of support, as well as our job hunt training and support for finding those low code jobs. And we have a 30-day money back guarantee. So if you're thinking about a coding career and you're not quite decided yet, hop on in. I'd love to see you. We'd love to support you. Just so you know, we have a scholarship for our peer mentors. And so the prices that I'm sharing with you here for the Joy Up Coding Academy do include those peer mentor scholarship discounts. So $9,997 or $12,997 for the Inner Circle upgrade. Those are after the peer mentor scholarship discount. So just so you know, but the payment plans are all the same. They just go longer depending on which level you choose. And if you're looking to take your tech career to the next level, we also have a VIP program if you really want that one-on-one guided experience with one-on-ones with me, with, accountability and mindset coaching, and just really taking it to the next level. All right. Awesome sauce, folks. If you do have any other questions, please don't hesitate to ask, because you guys were troopers today. I want to leave you with what's next. So again, thank you so much for allowing me to support you on your tech career journey today. And I'd love your feedback. And in fact, I would love your feedback, and I'd love to hear about your experience today and how you liked it. So I'm going to drop a link in the chat. And when you complete this survey, on the thank you page, there is a link to our 6-figure coding career blueprint. So I really want to make that available to you today so you can see for yourself exactly how to go about building connections and going on the job hunt to have that tech career of your dreams. Okay, that's my gift to you. If you are ready to get started with us and you like the sound of the training camp, I do want to offer that to you folks. I'm going to pop that link in the chat if you're interested. And if you're just thinking about a tech career and you've got some questions, you're not sure yet, and you'd like to have a one-on-one conversation. So I think Dennis, this would be a link that would apply for you. That's the last link, invited. So if I invite you to book a one-on-one call with me so we can go into your career specifically. So any of you that's here today. I don't normally do this, right? This is a nice small event today, but when we're at our bigger events, I can't do this. But you guys lucked out that you're at the small event today, the small workshop. So super excited to have you here today. And again, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out, schedule a time. Let's talk about your coding career and help you move forward. All right, help you move forward. So, and again, if you'd like to stay connected, I go live every Tuesday. And so in the Facebook group, and we're now just starting to go live on YouTube as well, every Tech Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern. And this Tuesday, I'm actually interviewing an expert in AI. His name is Keith Trinka. He is a AI and machine learning researcher. He's worked in industry for 20 years. He's going to be talking to us about the future of software development in an age with AI. So we're going to continue this conversation there. And so I hope you'll join us. All right. Have a great rest of your day, guys. If there's any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. You can post it in the chat. You can post it in the Facebook group. You can also text us. You should have received some text messages from us today. And I think some of them got the automations, I think, to the automated reminder system, I think had a little bit of a bug today. So my apologies if you're getting a couple of different notifications. All right. Have a great rest of your day. I look forward to seeing you soon. All right. Have a good one.